have a standout favourite. We've also got Millet of France, who won the World Student 5K Championships over Great Britain's Johnny Davis in the summer. Yeah, and that was a quality field he beat that day, and it'd be interesting to see how he can handle this cross-country distance.
Well, the distance they're going to compete over in this under-23 race is 8,230 metres exactly. So they will have one short lap, this 450-metre lap, and then 5 long laps after that, and then into the finish straight. As you can see, an animation of the lap. It's quite hard to work out exactly where they are on it. The yellow there is the short lap after the start straight. Wind just starting to pick up a little bit now. It's going to give a little bit of a wind chill factor to what is already a bit of a chilly day. -1, that probably feels a few degrees cooler than that, to be honest. And it was very windy in summer over the previous couple of days. Some of those advertising hoardings, etc., were blown over. Thankfully, everything nailed down today. So the starting lineup for the various teams contesting this: 85 entrants, 24 different countries, hoping that they can pick up a team medal here. Katamis of Turkey, maybe one to watch for. The Innerhoffers running for Austria. British contingent led by Mohammed, as Hannah was saying, moving into the under-23s for the first time. That strong Italian team led by Ciapinelli and Crippa. And then the Garcia Mayo for Spain, they'll be right up there as well. Rojo running for them. Petros, watch out for him from Germany. And plenty of names as we go through. I'm sure we'll probably have quite a big group together for a reasonable amount in this race. I'm not sure anyone's going to completely grab hold of it right from the very beginning. Ireland will be hoping that well, they haven't got 3 in this race, but they'll be looking to the senior women perhaps for a chance of medals. Mixed relay coming up a little bit later on. If you're just joining us this morning, we've had the junior races, under 23s to be completed with the men, then the 2 senior races, then we'll have some prize given. The mixed relay, what's your view on that, Hannah?
I think it's a good bit of fun. I'm always disappointed it's after the medal ceremonies, that maybe it could have been an exhibition as the first event. Yeah, we'll only know after the event, but yeah, it's just really strong competition there. It would be interesting to see how much weight the different European countries have put on it and the athletes that they've presented. But I think it's fun for the track runners to have an opportunity this time of year. We used to have the short course in the World Cross, the 4K, and that was where you could see some of the track runners get involved in these championships. And you know, perhaps this is such a short leg, it's maybe not testing them over an uncommon distance, but yeah, I think it's only about 1,700 metres per lap, per leg, maybe even less. But yeah, I think it'd be very, very interesting, and I hope it continues. And the more competition and races we can get, the better.
Yeah, I'm just worried we're becoming a sport of relays. I think you're right, though. I think it's actually a good way of bringing the track people, and that's the idea, is to bring them in as we did at the World Cross. This time round, at least, they've got their head around who goes first, because at the World Cross you're allowed to run in whatever order, and then 1 or 2 teams got that a little bit wrong. But the women will be first to go and then just alternate. So that one to come a little bit later on. There's Ciapinelli and Crippa. The 2 of them will lead this Italian contingent. Well, Crippa moving up into the under-23s. Had a good junior career, won the junior title. Actually, no, Crippa actually had last year as a bronze medalist in the under-23s, excuse me. Former champion. And Mayo, the man who's twice come close to winning this title, hasn't quite managed to do it. Petros, as I said, I expect him to be pretty well up there. Running for Germany, trying to follow in the success of his 2 teammates in the women's event. 1 minute to go.
Yeah, so Petros is sitting on a bronze medal from 2015. He didn't crack that top 3 last year, but has definitely got the experience. I mean, him and Mayo got more experience in this age group over this event, but yeah, these guys moving up from the junior rank should give them a good run for the money. Especially Crippa, he really knows what he's doing.
Apart from when he gets his hair cut, he looks Splendid as ever. So about to get underway, the men's under-23 event. So where they go, one short lap, and then they head out onto the big lap 5 times around that. So a real sprint here, and it's a little bit tight, only 64 people, so actually 80 odd, it was 64 in the women's. No need to get the elbows out too much, although they have started pretty quickly here. Mohammed leading the charge for Great Britain on the left of the picture there, and got himself involved nice and early, and just take a little while for it to settle down. One or two of the others who were expecting the figure decided not to start quite as quickly, and you don't really need to. It's amazing how quickly this settles down. That sprint at the beginning, sometimes a little bit unnecessary. I think the days of the World Cross Country where you have to do that because they don't slow down. They just keep going at that pace. So you have to be a little bit careful. In this one, they definitely will slow down. And Mr. Notti from Switzerland having his glory moment at the front. I'm just wondering why everybody else isn't joining him. Well, it's probably because you're going a little bit too quick. And he's having a little look behind. So a little bit of a quick 450-meter twisty-turny lap here.
I can see the temptation to get out fast on this this first short lap. I mean, there's been reports from the course that we've heard that it is a little tight and it is a little windy, and now I can see the temptation just to want to get out of trouble, establish a decent position and try and hold it, because often it can be hard to move through on a windy course with big groups like this. You're almost better off putting yourself in that top 10, in that top 15, and trying to stay there rather than counting on moving through when there might be a lot of traffic and a lot of technical water jumps and logs to get over.
Go on, be honest. I mean, if you're going to have either design a cross-country course and cross-country course, I mean, what is the point of the logs other than they're a trip hazard?
I think they look nice. No, it's interesting. It is more interesting than just having a plain field. This looks like a spectacular spectators course that you can see what's going on, and I think it does add a little bit of a thing. But the thing is, if they put big logs in, you'd have half the people complaining they were too big, or big hay bales that were tripping people up. We have people complaining about that, so it's perhaps a lose-lose situation.
I think if you're going to put obstacles in, when we saw in the World Cross, I mean, and this here, this is more relevant because it breaks up your rhythm, and that's partly what cross country is about. It's turns, it's hills. It is about the change of rhythm that can ensue. But I think a little log, and it is a little log that most people could just take in their stride, is not doing that. So my point is, the obstacles, they're actually just hazards then, in the sense to be avoided. I think putting artificial hills and mounds, a bit of mud, even a stretch of mud or a stretch of sand that breaks up, that's fine. That's a relevant thing to do. And I'm getting on my high horse here. No,
I totally agree. I think a big patch of mud or sand sort of sapping like that would for me make it more traditional for what we're used to, I guess, in Britain cross country. I'd love to just see a natural hill as well. I mean, those man-made hills, yes, they break your stride, but they're not the same as slogging up sort of 150, 200 metre hill. We all know what that does to your legs, especially when you're running these distances this hard. So yeah, I don't think these sort of man-made obstacles are anything touching sort of the real obstacles you'd see out there naturally.
Well, the field are very happy to let our early leader head off on his own, and that's probably because they've all had a look at each other, and they just check who it is and say, well, we weren't figuring on him being a contender, so we're happy to let him go off. It's quite a significant lead at this early stage, but I wouldn't get too excited, Switzerland, or any Swiss people watching. Luca Notti, he's not a bad runner, but if I tell you that in the recent Tilburg cross country he finished in 46th, which is one of those races. The cross country season seems to be getting a little bit shorter, if you like, because the World Cross is only every couple of years now, and it's not as big a target for the European athletes. So there's quite a few races in November, December, the championships, of course. Was that a faller there? We'll be in Edinburgh in the new year, as ever, traditionally for the cross-country in Edinburgh. We're looking forward to that. But then after that, it's or even before that for many, it's the indoor season, which takes precedents, and of course the World Indoor Championships in the UK in Birmingham this year. And in fact, there's plenty already turning their attention towards that. So the cross-country season is short and sharp, but it's always still filling the role that it has done for many years, for whether you're a track exponent or on the roads. Next year, cross-country season forms the base for so many people through the winter.
Yeah, I mean, there's a kind of obsession with times, whether it be the 10Ks on the track, on the road and stuff like that, which I think draws people away from cross-country. You know, they want a tangible marker, when often cross-country can be, you don't really know what you're going to get out of it. You don't necessarily know the distance, the terrain and the course, whereas a road race can give you a bit of a better marker, which unfortunately I do think means cross-country falls out of favour sometimes when it's such a wonderful kind of raw competition. And already we're seeing the poor Swiss guy maybe getting reeled in a bit, but you've got to have respect for him. He probably knows his strengths. He goes, you know, I can run, same as Ali Dixon in the World Marathon Championships this summer. He's going, this is what I'm physically capable of today. Why am I going to muck around and not run as hard as I can like these other guys? I'm going to go out there and give my maximal effort. Unfortunately, it looks a little bit like a breakaway in the Tour de France, doesn't it? That they're just working together to reel him in. But I'd say hats off to him. He's probably helping himself run to his potential today.
Well, I'm going to bet that he might be running the fastest he's going to run in the whole race today. And but yeah, I mean, look, you know, I'm all for people having a bit of a go, and I think, you know, we've seen people be too scared to kind of commit early and get involved. But look at that pack there. I mean, it's probably more that they're running slow than he's running particularly quick. And you're right, he's probably thinking, well, I'm comfortable. This is, I feel all right. I know it's very early stages, but this is the pace I'm comfortable running. So Luca Notti from Switzerland leads a massive pack, pretty much. If we've got a field of 85, you take him away and there are 3 or 4 struggling, there's probably about 80 people in that pack there. And so we let them settle down. Here's a little contingent of 4 at the back. So no dramas. I think there may well have been somebody had a little bit of a stumble off one of those, mainly because the pack's so close together, so many of them there. There's Carlos Mayo, he's for the first time showing near the front. Belgium well represented there. Just looking for the British contingent. Mohammed went through.
There's a lot of countries well represented, aren't they? Because there's such a big pack still. And like you say, I mean, they look like they're getting moving now. So it's kind of similar to the junior men's race when it was a bit cagey early on. Yeah, they have got 5 of these long laps to feel each other, you know, to feel the pace and see how they're going to do.
So they're just starting to close that lead now. Naughty is a moment of glory. Doesn't look as though it's going to last too much longer, although I'm pretty sure he'll be able to hang in there. Ciappinelli started pretty slowly. Just saw him in the All Blue of Italy quite a long way back. Not in terms of distance from the front, but in terms of the amount of people ahead of him. And they're just being stretched out a little bit more now. Boulvan up there and Summers from Belgium. Mayo right there. Just talk a little bit, Hannah, as well about the British contingent, and they're the only ones who this has included. There's not only the World Indoors and the European Championships in the summer, which will be, you know, a target for many of these athletes. We've also got a Commonwealth Games to fit in the end of March, early April, first couple of weeks of April, and how, you know, sort of deciding where this fits in, because there will be people, I mean, the selections have pretty much been made now, but, you know, having to decide how you plan your winter and where you race and where you don't race. We've got athletes who are competing, senior men and senior women in particular, who will be at the Commonwealth Games, and 1 or 2 who will be running indoors as well.
Yeah, it's a very, very busy calendar, and an exciting year for British athletes, really. They've got so many opportunities to test themselves on a range of events. I think it's really, really fun. And you're right, it is a bit of a head scratcher for a lot of people. You know, Jess Judd, a great showing there in the under-23 race, already selected for the Commonwealth 1500. And, you know, she's decided that it has fitted into her plans. And athletes are all different. I mean, lots of people thrive off racing. It brings them on, it bolsters their training, it kind of keeps them on task. And, you know, Darry Griffiths is someone we can talk about in that sort of theme later. But a lot of people love to race, but then there's some other people that say, you know, it interferes with the training, with the really getting stuff done. And I think we'll really see two different camps of people that will decide to maybe maximise every opportunity, and those who will have to focus on one. Again, the event, it depends on the event as well. You know, if you're running 1500, perhaps it's a bit easier to do more, but you know, the longer events, you've got to maybe choose your task a bit more specifically.
Yeah, and it means I mean, to get selected for this, you needed to be, you know, in shape in end of November. You'd probably start racing October, maybe early November, get a couple of races in before the trials. And if you are going to have that full, you know, cross country, perhaps indoors as well, certainly Commonwealth Games, European Championships into August in the summer, and then, you know, you're into a sort of 10-month racing year, and you've got to be really careful about how you plan that. So all change, and all of a sudden, Chris Ollie has gone up to the front and is being buffeted by the strong winds now. I think that's probably maybe a bit of a factor here. You can see, look at them, they're all trying to look for a little bit of shelter here. So that's a good, brave effort for him. Now, all of a sudden, he was sitting well back down in the pack, minding his own business almost, and then thinking, well, hang on, let's get this race going. I haven't come all the way to the European Championships just to kind of let 3 or 4K click by at a slow pace. So hats off to him. So Chris Ollie moved right up to the front. Mayo, the man who is hoping he can convert to a gold medal here in this race for the first time, well to the fore. And he's taken on the challenge laid down by Chris Ollie, and picking up the lead as they complete that second lap. 5 of the big laps, 3 more to go.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. I think Mayo was almost waiting for someone to make a move, and he was definitely most responsive to Chris Ollie's move there. But nice to see Chris Ollie getting involved again. Why sit in a pack? You know, just coasting along if you feel that the pace isn't fast enough. And these guys race so often, he's going to know. He's going to have his internal feedback going, no, I can do more than this. And he's spread it out a little there, which is interesting.
Well, the race really has started now. Carlos Mayo has decided enough is enough, and he's going to kick on. And he's done this before. That was a big effort last year, and he's maybe not learned by his mistakes for me. If I was going to try and win this race, if I was him, he's either supremely confident, but even if you're supremely confident, I think you then think, well, I can win this either way. I can wait, or I can run from the front. But running from the front at this early stage is always the riskier option. But he's decided to take it. It's breaking the field up very, very quickly, and he's obviously thinking, this is my year.
Well, he's stolen a march on Cripper and Ciaffinelli. I can't see them that close to him at the moment. And Mohammed, and they're going to have to work hard to get back to him. And that's almost what you can do by making these big bursts. I mean, if you haven't judged your effort wrong, it's almost putting the pressure on those other guys to come back to you. And they've got people to run around these obstacles to get over. They're going to have to put in a committed effort to get back up to him, whereas he's there running a nice even pace at the front.
Gressier, a Frenchman, I was going to say he's running pretty close, he's running too close, so just give him a little bit of a nudge. Carlos Mayo. You see, already to me it looks like he's working hard at the front. It is windy, and that's, you know, it's a brave thing to do when the brake doesn't really have an effect. And we were talking about where's Cripper. Well, he's now suddenly realised I've got to get up here. There he is, leading the chase pack in the all blue of Italy. Mohammed probably in about 10th place going through there. Britain well represented. Chris Ollie up there, Pat Diva was up there as well. So I think a lot more running to do. I'm not convinced that was the best move from Carlos Mayo at this early stage, and the pack now being drawn back to him. And you know, I think he should have been a little bit more patient.
Well, and it's how he handles it now. And if that was a bid for glory and it gets sucked back in and you get swallowed into the group and your head goes down, then that's relevant. But if he was just stretching his legs, maybe he was getting clipped by someone else, getting frustrated with a big group, and he wanted it to be a bit spread out. But we'll see now in these next couple of minutes, how does he handle having all these people back round him and all the favourites back round him. Looks like he's slowed right down and he's made it a fartlek.
Yeah, and it may well be that I mean, you can hear the wind on the microphones. It may well be that he got out there in front, thought this is going to be too long, hard a slog, and he had Gressier for company. hadn't broken everybody. But that to me is just such a wasted effort then. You know, at that stage of the race to do that and then just sink back into the pack. I've said this before, any distance race, you know, if you can have a part of the race, as much of a part of the race where you're just relaxing and letting other people do the work, just covering the moves, then that's a good place to be in. So to me, I'm not convinced Mayo, that was the right sort of move for him to make that early. Look at Belgium, they've got an embarrassment of riches there in terms of counters. France well up there, Great Britain managing to get 3 in that group, which is good. But Boulvan now the leader. There's Mohamed just on the right of your picture, wearing the gloves, and he'll be pleased that that group's got back together again. Yeah, absolutely. They really did get back up to Mayo with looked like hardly any effort at all, and time will tell, you know, whether that was just a bit of tactics, try and scare them a bit, try and shake the race up. We'll see. But yeah, you've got to say it was perhaps a fruitless effort from what it looks like right now. But Belgium really are packing well there. I mean, it's early stages still, but that's great to see from a nation that have got a good tradition of distance running, but perhaps not team-wise like that. To see so many so high up in this age group is great. Yeah, Petros in that lead group, one of the pre-race, not a favourite, but one that people were talking about. I was pretty impressed with Gressier there when he moved up. I mean, he's come out of the junior ranks, never quite won a medal, was close on a couple of occasions, and in the under-23s, probably looking at this sort of field today as Ciappinelli is making his way through, but he's way off this lead group there, and he's probably missed the break, Ciappinelli. Cripper is right up there, so just going to see him. Here he is. And that looks like a bit of a struggle for him. He's really hasn't covered the moves, so Italy may well not figure, because those two both of them would have had to be right up there, not just Cripper. He's the only Italian in that group, which is why Italy on 5th place in the team standings. Belgium so well represented. Great Britain in with a chance of a medal though. Spain are packing well again, aren't they? These Spanish men have come well prepared to the European Cross Country Championships. Well, the cowbells are ringing. Winter sport time, cross country. Of course, what was your view on, I think Seb Coe was quite keen to get cross country into the Winter Olympics. What's your view on that? Oh, I think it'd be great. Cross country is such a unique sport. I mean, the track races are obviously still fantastically exciting, and you don't know what's going to happen. But almost by having those lap splits and the set lap, it kind of takes some of that element of surprise out of it. And for the competitors as well, it's a lot easier to judge your effort and become sort of dominant in a race by running in a particular way, whereas cross country just shakes that right back up, and you get people throwing moves at each other, like Mohamed now just going to the front and testing people, and the wider course as well. You know, on the track you won't get as many people hitting the front and changing positions as much, and I think it's a great spectator sport, and I think there would be an appetite for it in the Winter Olympics, but I just love athletics, so I'm probably biased. I'd be conflicted then. Curling, cross country. Don't know what I'd end up commentating on. Anyway, cross country today is going well here for Great Britain, with Mohamed starting to push on at the front, and that's a good move to make, you know, because you're getting into the part of the race where you really don't want to have too many people hanging around, and Cripper's thinking exactly the same thing. There's a faller there, one of the Belgian athletes just slipping on that turn and going down, picked himself up pretty quickly, but that's a bad time to fall just as the break is being made. And we might see that replayed again. De Bonis is still there, Gressier is there, Mayo is there, Mohamed. France packing very well indeed. And I think it was Sommers who went down, but we'll maybe get another look at it. There's Ciappinelli having a bit of a struggle as Cripper looks around. Well, he's not going to see his teammate, but he might see that this burst is having an effect, and Mayo is thinking, I've got to cover this. He's a big threat. He's one of the main rivals, and he's watching that gap grow, and he wants to try and make sure it doesn't. There's still plenty of running left in this, And it's an early bid from Cripper, but it's a decisive one.
Oh, he looks good, doesn't he? Look at the pressure he's put on those other guys. They do not look as good as Cripper in the front, and maybe he's got a poker face on. Maybe he is working harder than it looks like. I mean, they are coming back to him, but what is it? Two laps to go from here. It's not short. Yeah, this is a long bid for home, but he looks confident. He's got the experience, but I don't see Mayo giving up easily. But he does look like he's working harder at the moment.
Well, sadly for Mohammed, he's got to really stick to his task here, because you hope that group where the medals are, it's actually the last lap now, they are taking the bell. That group, he's got to just try and stay as close as he can and hope that perhaps one or two break up. It's a tall ask, isn't it? You're hoping that others fade rather than you have a strong last lap. There's every reason to think that he could. As you see, Chris Ollie, the second of the British counters, are going to have a real scrap on as well for team position. Diva is the third counter and isn't too far adrift of his teammate Chris Ollie. So Britain hope that those two can move through. There's Ollie rising over those obstacles, but look at this now. Cripper keeps looking behind. That's the team standings at the start of the last lap. Britain in a bronze medal position, under some threat from Spain perhaps, but their athletes seem to be going back through the field rather than forward. So if Ollie and Diva can keep going well on the last lap, then every chance of a team medal. Not sure that Mohammed can get in amongst the individuals here, but he's still got an opportunity, not too far away if others falter ahead of him.
No, absolutely. Hopefully this is just a slightly bad patch for Mohammed and he can work through it. There is still a lot of ground left to run, and this has been a sudden injection of pace, and perhaps he's just feeling a bit of that lactic, and it's about kind of coming to terms with that and clearing it a little, and then he can find his legs again. The Belgium guys did look to be crumbling a bit as a team. That's such a shame, they were so strong early on, but hopefully that will benefit the British boys if they look like they're holding, if not moving through some of those guys. So hopefully they can have a strong finish.
Yes, a team race very much up for grabs here, but Cripper, look, he hasn't got this one yet. I mean, I think if I was Gressier, I'd stop looking behind, because that lead's not growing. It's as he said, it's a big effort. Carlos Mayo may well be wishing he hadn't made that bit of effort early on. He's going to have a right tussle to get a bronze medal here. Hay of France looks very comfortable sitting behind him and just moves alongside Mayo, with Debonis of Belgium in that group as well. But here's the battle for the gold medal. Cripper and Gressier, with Hay starting to try and give chase as well, but Gressier working hard. He's twice finished fourth in the junior ranks. Cripper, one of the pre-race favourites, but that big effort, was that a little bit too early? What did he just get a little bit overexcited there? He was obviously feeling good, but this race far from over, and the two Frenchmen are starting to hunt him down.
It's what I mean about the fascination of cross country. You're on a track, you get the feedback, oh, that's what I ran that 400 split in, or that 200 split in, that's why I'm feeling like this. He's got no idea, he's got no markers, he's just gone on feel, and you've got the adrenaline of a European gold medal waiting for you. It can pollute that sort of clear vision of how hard you can really go, and hopefully we can see him rally, because he does look tired. He doesn't look as good as he did when he made that breakaway, and these French guys are piling the pressure on.
I like Gressier, he's that typical, he's not a great track exponent, he's a typical cross-country runner, and Cripper, perhaps a little bit more pedigree, a bit more of a thoroughbred, if you like. He's the European under-23 5,000 metre champion. He knows what it's like to win a title in this age group, but on the track, that's a very different matter. He will have a bit of pace, but I'm not sure how much pace Gressier has, and he might want to try and get ahead of the Italian before the closing stages. But what about the other Frenchman then, Hugo Hay, who is just hovering, if you like, not doing anything, not getting involved in this tussle. He made a big effort to get onto the two of them. Now looks as though he's having to work a little bit more to hang into them. But now into the closing stages, there's still three men in contention.
Hay just drifted up very nicely past those guys that were perhaps going through a bad patch. He really capitalised on that momentum coming through the field, and you can just hold on to these guys.
Well, Jimmy Gressier is making the big bid here. He's still got a little bit of work to do, but Gressier is sprinting for home. It's still got another turn to make into the home straight, but he looks as though he's got this one, because there's no challenge coming from his teammate Hay, and Cripper has given this one up completely, went too early, and it's the Frenchmen who are going to finish out on top. What a shock this is, because Gressier finally wins a medal at the European Cross Country Championships. He is the under-23 champion, and look at his teammate Hugo Hay, who is jubilant in second place, and France with 3 in the top 4. Cripper just hung on for the bronze medal, but it'll be France who get double gold here, individually and in the team race. What a performance from Jimmy Gressier. Covered the first move by Mao, and then he covered the move by Cripper and had enough strength to push on in the closing stages. Congratulations to him, twice 4th in the junior ranks. He's now the champion. Mohamed, the first of the British athletes, in 12th place. Chris Holly just behind him. Mohamed just faded on that last lap. The two of them 12th and 13th, and it'll be an anxious wait for the British men to see if they win a medal in the under-23 ranks. It won't be the gold or silver, but they are in contention for the bronze, but we'll have to wait and work that out.
Oh, what a wonderfully cagey race by the French guys there. They, just like you were saying, why not sit in there, take a ride? They were very tactically astute there, and they just stuck to their task so well. And for to get 1, 2, 4 in an international race for a team, that was just great running, and they really executed their plan perfectly there, and I'm sure they're delighted.
Well, just reading an interesting stat provided by our statistician Mark Butler. He's a big football fan, Gressier, and he said his dream was to play for Aston Villa. That sounds like when I used to say, oh, my dream was to play for Sunderland, and you'd think, have a bit more ambition. But you being what's your team?
Whoever's playing well, to be honest.
Playing well, okay. I just wondered, I wasn't sure. Just it's your part of the world, where Villa, Wolves, Birmingham, Port Vale, I don't know.
Well, my coach Bud is a massive West Bromwich fan, so
okay.
I'd say we'll go with the Baggies.
Well, what a day for the French. We had a 1-2 in the women's under-23 for Germany, and a surprise 1-2 in the men's event. Jimmy Gressier and his teammate, I know I won't be, I'll have people saying Hugo Hay, sounds way too British. So Gressier taking the goal by just 2 seconds from his teammate Hugo Hay. Cripper, perhaps the pre-race favourite, certainly a warm favourite, a little disappointed, I'm sure, to win the bronze medal. Great Britain led by Mohamed, faded on the last lap and just finished 1 place ahead of Chris Holly and Patrick Dever in 16th place, the 3rd British counter, and followed in by Joe Stewart in 25th place. Well, good news for Great Britain. They just managed to sneak ahead of Spain to take the bronze medal. Belgium clear in second with 26 points, and France just 7 points. Great performance from them to take the gold, but the British under-23 men will be delighted that they've got on the rostrum with a bronze medal.
I mean, that's just great for the British guys. And that's what I was saying, these team positions come right down to the wire, and to get a bronze medal by 3 points over Spain is just great, and it's a real reward for those guys that pushed for every single place out there. So right, 7 points. Well, surely we're not going to see a team score less than 7 points. Obviously almost one short the perfect 6, but I'd be very surprised if we see a score as good as that in the senior races coming up.
Turkey?
We'll see.
We're going to come on to that eventually. We'll have the senior women before the senior men. The reason I say Turkey is athletic fans will know the transferees, which is of course on hold at the moment. The whole transferee system means that Turkey are able to call on good Kenyan talents. More of that shortly. Let's just have a little look back on the race we've just seen. Gressier with the baseball cap reversed, performing superbly well. Notty, well, he had his moment of fame, didn't he, right in the front. Just going to have a little quick look, see where he finished while you're watching this. I'm scrolling down. I'm not sure he's finished yet. Anyway, he was the early leader, and then it was a little while before the pack broke up, and it was Carlos Mayo who, having finished in the medals but not winning this race before, you might have thought would have waited to see. I'm not sure he's been in great form this year, Mayo. He hasn't brought his best form here, and it was eventually Cripper who completely blew them apart. Looked as though he might have enough, but on the last lap it became evident that Gressier was the one who was looking the stronger. Well, what a performance from him. And then his teammate, Hugo Hay, backing him up superbly well. He wasn't interested in the gold, old Hugo, was he? He was delighted with his silver medal long before he got to the finish line. Well done to the two of them. Great 1-2 for France.
Right, again, this is another argument for the under-23 age group. You've got a whole group of French guys here that have clearly really targeted this race. I mean, look, even their fourth counter then, probably still in the top 10. And they've really stuck to their task. This has probably been their motivation through the start of this winter. And it gives them that extra impetus to apply themselves. I'm sure they're going to reap the rewards through the spring and the summer.
Well, they repeated a feat they last achieved. They did it both in 2009 and in 2010. In 2010, it was Hassan Chardi and Florian Carvalho, two men who ran in this European Championships many, many times. So they've had a bit of a wait since then to get amongst the medals. And then two come along at once.